Welcome to Global Lens. And recently, our Prime Minister Modi just sent a pretty strong message to Canada for the first time. Absolutely, it's outrageous to see Indian diplomats being intimidated abroad, especially when the global media is shedding light on this issue. And let's not forget, Prime Minister Modi isn't just any leader, he's one of the top 5 most influential figures on the global stage today. Alongside leaders like Putin, Trump, Biden, and Xi Jinping, PM Modi commands a massive following worldwide. Countries from across the globe have recognized his stature, even honoring him with their highest civilian awards. In fact, Prime Minister Modi just made a bold statement that's resonating worldwide. He tweeted to strongly condemn the recent attack on a Hindu temple in Canada, a deliberate act of violence. It's exactly the kind of strong, no nonsense response we needed from our Prime Minister. He didn't stop there. He emphasized that India expects the Canadian government to ensure justice and uphold the rule of law. Now, that phrase, rule of law, is quite a loaded one, especially when talking about Canada. It's almost ironic because Trudeau has repeatedly brought it up when addressing the Niger case, and even when implying that India's RAW might be involved in Canada. He's used rule of law like a mantra, especially to point fingers. So now we're turning it back on him. Where was Canada's rule of law when a Hindu temple in Brampton was attacked? It's a fair question, and it shines a light on the bigger issue here. Khalistani groups in Canada regularly threaten and attempt to intimidate Indian diplomats. And here's the kicker. The Canadian government has recently found out that our few remaining diplomats there are being closely watched, monitored, and recorded on every word. This level of surveillance on diplomats isn't just over the top, it's a clear violation of international conventions and norms. India's stance is clear. This behavior crosses the line. Canada's actions go against diplomatic and consular conventions, and every convention, formal or informal, stands against this kind of overreach. PM Modi's message is firm. India won't back down. Now you might wonder, with Canada being a Five Eyes country, a G7 member, and a close US ally, will this turn all Five Eyes nations against India? That's a valid question, but here's the positive news. Recently, our External Affairs Minister, Dr. S. Jaishankar, visited Australia and met key officials, including the Australian Foreign Minister. During a press conference, a journalist directly asked him about Canada. His response was both thoughtful and strategic. India's position on this isn't just about a diplomatic spat. It's about fairness, respect for international norms, and standing against intimidation. The world is watching, and so is India. Now, obviously, the support India is receiving from Australia on this issue is a powerful statement. Australia, a core member of the Five Eyes Alliance, has shown that it won't blindly follow Canada's lead. In fact, they've made it clear that India is too important a partner to risk damaging the relationship. That's a bold move, and it really stands out in this context. So what did Jaishankar have to say? Standing right there in Australia, he addressed 3 critical points, each one calling out Canada's behavior in this situation. Speaking from Delhi is one thing, but addressing these issues while in Australia carries a lot of weight.
I think what happened yesterday at the Hindu temple in Canada was obviously deeply concerning. And you would have seen the statement first by our official spokesperson and also the expression of concern by our Prime Minister yesterday. So that should, I think, convey to you how deeply we feel about it.
And Jaishankar didn't hold back. First, he raised the issue of Canada's baseless accusations. Canada's been throwing around claims without a shred of evidence, and India isn't taking it lightly. Second, he condemned Canada's surveillance on Indian diplomats. This kind of monitoring is a serious breach of protocol and is frankly unacceptable. Lastly, Jaishankar highlighted the troubling freedom given to extremist groups in Canada, especially the pro-Khalistani forces. Freedom of speech is one thing, but this crosses the line. These concerns, shared openly with the Australian government, have led to a response that suggests Australia understands the seriousness of the situation. It's worth noting that the Five Eyes Alliance, especially the countries involved, is closely watching India. Canada has made some major moves here. They've even labeled India a cyber threat, grouping it alongside Russia, Iran, and North Korea. This is no small accusation, and Canada could potentially push for action from G7 allies and other partners, which could impact India. Thankfully, Australia's support shows that Canada might be standing alone here. The US will likely offer some support to Canada, given their proximity and shared roles in NATO and the G7, but other key players have been more reserved. Even the UK, which is normally vocal on global matters, has stayed relatively quiet.
Well, first in relation to safety, all Australians, regardless of their faith, their culture, who they are, where they live, are entitled to be safe and they're entitled to be respected. And in relation to the vandalism that you describe, I know that our local members have expressed a very strong view about that, particularly in the week of Diwali. It's a very upsetting thing for members of the faith community and the Indian community more broadly. So I would again say people across Australia have a right to be safe and respected. People also have a right to peaceful protest. People have a right to express their views peacefully. We draw a line between that and violence, incitement of hatred or vandalism, and they should be dealt with by the appropriate law enforcement authority.
The Australian Foreign Minister's statement was significant too. She openly condemned the attack on a Hindu temple during Diwali celebrations in Canada, calling it very wrong. She emphasized how attacks like these threaten individual safety and the right to religious freedom. While she expressed respect for Canada's internal processes, she also underscored the importance of India-Australia relations, a strong indication that Australia values its partnership with India. Meanwhile, Trudeau isn't backing down. With Canadian elections around the corner, this issue could escalate, further straining India-Canada relations. It'll be interesting to see how far Trudeau pushes this and what it means for the bigger diplomatic picture. So this is the end of the video. Make sure to like this video and subscribe to the channel Global Lens.